Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the R in CRUD, which is for retrieve. We want to retrieve information. Okay, it's not enough for us to just build out this database. All right, we want to be able to get data from it. Okay, so we need to figure out how we do that. So to retrieve data from our database, what we're going to do, we're going to write what's called a query. And a query is just simply a question. We're asking for information from the database. And if we ask the database correctly, then we will get a desired result. If we ask it incorrectly, we'll either get an error or we won't get the result that we want. Okay. So, along with everything else in development, it's all about how we're talking to these computers. Okay. And so, we got to make sure that we're talking to the computer correctly. We are essentially learning another language. So, for those of you who, learn, if you speak another language, now I'm on Duolingo every single day, working on my Espanol. um, I'm always doing that. Programming, you are learning another language, okay? Um, but with that, it's all about how we speak to the computer, making sure that we're asking it the correct questions or asking it to perform a task accurately, okay? So, um, to retrieve data, here are six clauses that we use. All right. We have the select clause, we have from, where, order by, group by, and having. I think in these slides, I don't do any group by or having, but we can do that later on because those are pretty cool. Uh, but select, from, where, order by, group by, and having. These are six query clauses that we use to retrieve data from the database. All right. And so select from, okay. The first clause we're going to need to understand is the select clause. And what it does, it selects data that we want returned. And right now we're going to couple it with the from clause. And the from clause lists which table that we want to choose from. Okay. So we're saying essentially, hey, give me this data from this table. That's what we're doing. So here, let's try this. Everybody type this into their you could type this directly in your MySQL server. You don't have to type this out inside of your data.sql file unless you just want to for to have to keep track of. But we're going to select all from album. So come over here and I'm going to say select all. That's the star. So that star is universal and it means all. I'm going to say select all from album. And don't forget your semicolon. So it needs to look like this. And matter of fact, what I'm going to do to help us all out, I'm just going to clear this out. Oh, take that back. I'm not going to clear it out. uh, Select all from album. And when I do that, you should get something like this that pops up. Okay. Now I'm going to adjust my screen and minimize this just a little bit for the time being so that we can see what's going on here. Okay. But what you end up having here, as you can see, is the entire table for album, every single entry with every field in there. The album ID, and you can see here that since we set the album ID to auto increment, it's counting each one. So each one has its own ID. As we can see here, we have the title, each album title. We have the artist ID, band ID. So it's either going to be an ID or it's going to show up null. We have the label ID, so which label is from, the year it was released, and also you see the date created and the last update. So you can see when each entry was made, and you can see the time that it was made. So that's what happens when you say select all from album. It's going to pull up every single record or every row, okay, from the table. Let me enlarge this because I know I want to everybody to be able to see. Oh, that still works. Okay, I think that's large enough. All right, cool. Um, so yeah, we see everything popped up, and again uh the IDs, well, the album ID in particular, since this auto increment is going to be we didn't have to insert an ID for it. Glad about that. And it automatically is generated, and then also the timestamp that is automatically created as well. Okay. So again, that star, when I say select star, that means all. So select everything from this table. Um, a lot of times, most times, we don't want to retrieve every single thing, right? Sometimes they're just pieces of information that we want, okay? We don't want the whole table, or we don't want everything from the table. Maybe we just want to get the title. Maybe we want the year released. Okay. So how can we do that? Well, we simply do that by using select and then specifying which fields that we want to select. Okay. So here I'm going to say select title and year released from album. I'm going to separate each field with a comma. Okay. So let's do that. Let's say select title, comma, year released from album. And since even here I do like to uh with my sequel keywords, like to keep them capitalized. But when I do that and it returns just the title and just the year released, those are only two things. Okay. So pretty simple, it seems. We're just saying, hey, select this information from this table. We could do that with any table that we want. Okay. I can say select all from artist, and it returns every artist. Select, let's just say I want the last name from artist. Since all their, it returns all their last names. Okay. And that's how it works. So we can again select which information that we want. Okay. We can do a select all and get everything, or we can just select the certain fields that we want to get. All right. Um. So, what did I miss here? But we don't have to limit it to the album ID. I that's right. Oh, a whole slide is missing. Huh, how about that? Okay. Let's say, yeah, that's odd. All right. I don't know. I deleted the slide on accident, or maybe one of you scumbags did. No, I'm messing. I know you didn't. If I want to select a single item, okay, from the table, because a lot of times I'm not going to be selecting everything, right? Sometimes I may just want one particular item. So let me do select all again. So notice here I can, if I uh press the up cursor, Notice that it goes up the commands that we created. So if I want to repeat one. So here I go. Let's say I want to select uh Mama's Gun. Okay. That's the album that I want. If I want to select a particular album, okay, let's say I'm gonna use, I can do it by the album ID, okay? And what I would need, because I missed out. Something that's happened with my slides. Anyways, we're gonna get through it. What I use is the where clause. I add the where clause to my statement, okay? And what that simply does is it specifies a location or where to choose from, where I'm selecting from. So if I want Mama's Gun, I'm gonna say select all from album, and here I'm gonna add my where clause, where, and I can say album underscore ID is equal to what? Is equal to 9. And when I do that, there is the album with the title of Mama's Gun. So the where clause again is used to specify a particular location that we're calling from. So we can say select all or whatever, select whatever we want from a particular table where some criteria is met. And it doesn't just have to be the album ID. We can use something else. So here I could say select all from, well, select title and year released from album where year release is equal to 2000. Okay. So let's try that out. We're going to say select, was it title and year released from album where, and I can say year released is equal to 2000. Don't forget your semicolon. And when you hit enter, you see that it lists 2 albums because there are 2 albums in this table that were released in 2000, like Water for Chocolate and Mama's Gun. So, important thing to know right now, that select, that's our retrieve. Hey, get this information. Return these fields from which table we're pulling from, where some criteria is met. So here we're saying where the year released is 2000, and it's going to return those 2 albums. All right, cool. Along with that, because it gets, this is where it gets like really cool, if you will, and you got to really understand how to break apart these statements. We can combine or union our filter. Okay, so here, if we look at this, we say select all from album where year release is equal to 2000 and artist ID is equal to 1. Without keying this in, what will this return? Anybody have an idea? This statement up here where it says select all from album where year release is equal to 2000 and artist ID is equal to 1 is going to error. I doubt that is going to error. No, not this one. Not this clause. What this clause is going to do, let's do it. Let's see it. Select. Nope. Mm. It's going to give you mama's gun. Did you write? Did you type it? Okay. So type all from album. Okay. Where we said what year released, and I like to put these inside of parentheses because I like my stuff to be readable. You don't necessarily have to. Where year released is equal to 2000 and we said artist ID is equal to 1. And when I do that, I'm going to get mama's gun. All right. So what is happening here? Why did this happen? Okay. Here, what we're doing is we're combining clauses. Okay. So if I said select all from album where artist ID is 1, that would return where the artist ID is 1, that would be return mama's gun. If I said select all from album where year released is 2000, where year release is equal to 2000, that would return mama's gun as well as like water for chocolate, right? Because both of those albums were released in the year 2000. So what that and clause does, that and combines those two clauses. And what we're essentially saying is, hey, both of these statements have to be true. In other words, the album had to have been released in the year 2000 and the artist ID is equal to 1. So both of those statements are true. So when I look at it, the year 2000, there's 2 albums that were released in the year 2000. Let me bring it over there. Yeah, there we go. So we have 2 albums that were released in the year 2000, okay? And where artist ID is equal to 1. Well, there's only one album out of those 2 where the artist ID is equal to 1. So so this album, Like Water for Chocolate, would not qualify, so it does not get returned. So we get this one album, Mama's Gun. The and clause, and we're gonna play with this a lot more when we get into like JavaScript, but you're kind of seeing how it works now. But the and clause says that both of these statements, if both of these statements are true, well, excuse me, if both of these clauses are true, then the statement is true. That's what I want to say. The and clause says if both of these clauses are true, then the statement is true. That is going to be different from or. So here, let's try this out. If I say select all from album where year released is 2000 or band ID is equal to 4, what is it going to return? Select all from album where year release is 2000 or band ID is 4. What is that going to return? Correct, which would be what? Correct. ABC like water for chocolate and mama's gun. Let's type that in. So I'm just gonna come over here and I'm gonna change this. I can remove all that. Because we said where year release is 2000 or band ID is equal to 4. And when I do that, ABC like water for chocolate and mama's gun. Yes, correct. The or operator or the or clause simply means one of these statements can be true. If one of those statements is true, then the entire, or if one of those clauses is true, then the entire statement is true. All right. Let me try to paint that in an analogy. All right. Um, it is true that I like sushi. That is a true statement. I like eggs is a false statement. If I were to say I like sushi and eggs, I like sushi and I like eggs, that would be false because both statements would have to be true or both clauses would have to be true. If I say I like sushi or I like eggs, that is a true statement because one of those clauses is true. And means all statements, all clauses have to be true in order for the statement to be true. Or says that one of the statements can be true. If I have my my iPad's not connected to YouTube anyway. Otherwise, I could do like a little model, a Venn diagram, so we can understand like the union and combination and how that works. Okay, but if you understand, or only one has to be true. This or that, true or false. Okay, with and both statements need to be true. Okay. You're welcome. All right. So let's look at this. Now we have wildcards, okay? Because a lot of times when we're retrieving data, say we want to search, okay? We want to add a search functionality to our form or whatever. And I want to be able to query the database based on certain criteria. So, like right here, I want um, I want to pick data that, or I want to get, I want to get data where that begins with the letter A, or where the title's like A. So what we're gonna do, what we need to do is, one, we use the like keyword, and sometimes this actually trips me up because I want to use equals a lot of times, but we use like, okay, and then we add whatever letter, and then this percent symbol is actually a wildcard symbol in SQL. Okay. And that means it could be anything. It doesn't matter. Here, what we're saying is select title from album where title like A. So in other words, the first character in the title is A, and then anything after it doesn't matter. So let's type that out. I'm gonna say select title from, what did I say? Select all, just select title. Select title from album, not album, but album where, and I can say title is like, and this needs to go in quotes, okay? So I do put this in quotes. I'm going to put a quote and say A, and you can use capital A or lowercase a, and then I'm going to put a percent symbol or wild card, close it, and then enter. And when I do that, I get 3 albums. I get A Love Supreme, I get ABC, and I get All. Because all 3 of them start with the letter A. So again, what I'm saying, or the title is like, and then A, wild card. So it means the first letter is A, and then anything else after doesn't matter. This is how I can find everything that starts with the letter A. If I want to do here everything that ends with the letter T, that's what this one is going to do. I put the wild card symbol first, meaning whatever's in the front doesn't matter so long as the last letter is T. I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to just change this up. So I'm going to say percent in T. I don't know what this is going to retrieve. I'm not certain. And I get an empty set. And the reason I get an empty set is because when I look at these, none of these end with the letter T. Let's change it up. I'm going to, instead of T, I'll make that E. So now I'm saying, hey, give me all the album titles where the last letter is E. And I get 3 albums. I get A Love Supreme, I get Philadelphia Half-Life, and I get Like Water for Chocolate, because all 3 of them end with the letter E. So you can see this is a useful tool right here, the wild card, because we can set that up as we want to when we want to do some kind, we want to return some kind of search. Well, return from a search or filter out the data, if you will. Okay, let's say that we have a database that is filled with customers for See's Candy. Anybody familiar with See's Candy? It's only the best chocolate in the world. That's all. Only the best chocolate in the entire world. And I don't like to do superlatives. I'm not one of the persons that like, oh, this is the best, this is the worst, or anything like that. But I got to give credit where credit is due. And See's Candy is in fact the best chocolate in all of the world. I went to the factory when I went to Los Angeles. Oh my goodness. And they were just letting us just pick. Yeah, just choose that one. Can I try that one? Sure, you can just try that. So just all kind of samples before we bought anything. But yeah. Anyways, let's say I want to I have a database full of customers for See's Candy, and I want to send out special promotion for everybody who lives in the state of Mississippi. Okay. Or I just say everybody who lives in a state that begins with the letter M. I don't want to leave Maine and Missouri and Massachusetts out. I think that's it. Michigan, yeah, them too. I don't want to leave them out, right? So what I could do is I could say select, customer, or select all from customer where state is like M wildcard, and that will return every customer who is in one of the states that begin with the letter M. So wildcards come in handy. There's a different kind of wildcard here, and this is the underscore. And the underscore matches a single character. Okay. So the percent symbol is a kind of a catch-all. The underscore, and we'll see what that looks like, is a single character. In other words, that single character can be anything. And then follow whatever guidelines afterwards. So like what we have in the example, it says select title from album where it said title is like, and then this goes in quotes, and put an underscore first, meaning that first character can be anything. The second character is an A, and then I'll put the wild card, the percent symbol. So this right here says, hey, the first character can be anything. Doesn't matter what it is. The second character has to be an A. And the third character, I don't care what the third character is. Anything after A doesn't matter. So long as the second letter is A and it returns Mama's Gun, Paranoid, and Tapestry. Because those are the three albums in the table whose titles have A as the second letter. Let's I don't want to go over here to order by. Let's play around some more with this. So I'm going to end this video. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this video, is practice using each one of those clauses. You can start the video back over and work on those clauses. Practice retrieving data by select, from, where, and then like. See if you can get the results that you want from that. And then when we get back, we'll talk some more about order by. Maybe do some. No, I don't think we're gonna do any grouping. But we'll do some order by definitely in the next video. All right.